My name is Jack Miller, and I've been a cowboy for most of my life. I'm not young anymore, but I still wake up with the same sun and the same wind. My home is small, quiet, and a little messy. It's just me, my horse Buddy, and the wide open land. After a long week of work, my weekends are the time I live slow, breathe deep, and remember why I love this life. On Saturday morning, I don't rush. The sun wakes me instead of a clock. I lie in bed for a while, listening to the sounds outside, the birds, the wind, the distant sound of cows moving through the grass. There's no boss waiting, no noise, no city stress. Just quiet freedom, the kind you can't buy anywhere. I make coffee first, strong and black. That smell alone can wake my soul. Then I cook pancakes, sometimes with honey, sometimes with butter if I have some left. I always make too many, but I eat 'em all. Living alone teaches you one rule: never waste food or coffee. I sit on my porch, mug in hand, watching the morning light spread across the land. The silence feels heavy, but not lonely, more like peace that's alive. Sometimes I think about old times, about friends who moved away or passed on. But the land keeps me company. It listens in ways people don't. Saturdays are for laundry, whether I like it or not. I use a bucket, soap, and my own hands. The water is cold, and I always end up wet. Once, the wind blew one of my shirts straight into the water trough, and Buddy looked at me like I was the one who'd lost my mind. That horse judges me more than most people. Every few weekends, I ride into town. It's small, one diner, one grocery store, and one barber shop. I like seeing people, even if I don't talk much. The road there is dusty and long, but I enjoy the ride. It reminds me that life doesn't have to move fast to move forward. Mary, the waitress, knows me well. She always smiles when I walk in. "Jack, the usual?" she says. I nod and sit by the window. She brings me chicken, fries, and a slice of apple pie, the best part of the day. We talk about small things, weather, animals, life. I like her voice. It sounds like sunlight on an old day. In a small town, people always talk, not in a bad way, just curious. They ask if I'm still living alone, if the ranch is fine, if I ever plan to marry. I usually laugh and say, "My horse doesn't complain." They laugh too, but sometimes I wonder if I should have more than this simple life. The barber, Bill, is a storyteller. He talks while he cuts, and I just nod, pretending to listen. He tells me about his daughter, his dog, his dreams, everything but hair. Once he talked so long he forgot to finish the back of my head. I didn't even care. It was a good story. When I ride back home, the air feels different, cleaner, quieter. The town disappears behind me, and the land opens wide again. That's when I feel most myself. The sound of the saddle, the smell of dust, the wind on my face, it all reminds me why I chose this life. At home, I take off my boots and sit outside again. The sky turns gold, then pink, then blue. I play my old guitar, the same one I've had for 20 years. My fingers aren't fast, but they remember the songs. Sometimes the cows listen. Sometimes they walk away. Either way, I keep playing. Sundays feel different. There's no plan, no work list. I wake up slow, make coffee, and open the window. The air smells fresh, and the light falls soft on everything. It feels like the world is brand new, at least for a little while. My shower is outside, a big metal barrel full of water. If the sun is strong, the water gets warm. If not, well, it's a cold shock. Once, a frog jumped out while I was washing. I shouted so loud that even Buddy got scared. The land was laughing at me that day. Tom, my neighbor, lives about 2 miles away. His dog Max likes to visit me. He steals things, my gloves, my hat, even a sandwich once. I always catch him and say, "You again?" He just wags his tail like it's a game. Some thieves you can't stay mad at. After lunch, I lie under the tree near the barn. The ground is warm, the air soft. Buddy stands nearby, his tail moving slowly. I close my eyes and drift into half sleep. Sometimes I dream of places I've never been, beaches, cities, faces I don't know. Maybe even cowboys dream of other lives. One weekend, I noticed my saddle was torn. I tried fixing it myself. What a mistake. When I finished, it looked worse. I laughed and said, "Jack, you're a good cowboy, but a terrible craftsman." The next day, I took it to old Sam in town. He fixed it in 10 minutes, didn't even charge me. Sundays are my cooking adventure days. Once I made chili so spicy I nearly burned my tongue off. I drank water like a dying man, and Buddy watched me like I'd lost my mind. I laughed so hard I couldn't stop coughing. Living alone means laughing at your own disasters. I have an old radio that works when it wants to. Sometimes the signal is full of noise, but when the music comes through, it feels magic. Old country songs, deep voices, and stories from faraway towns. I sit by the window, drink coffee, and let the sound fill the room. The mail truck comes once a week. Jake, the driver, always honks twice before I see him. Sometimes he brings letters, sometimes just bills. Last month, I got a postcard from my cousin in New York. He said, "You should visit the city." I laughed and said to Buddy, "Only if they have grass for you." On Sunday evenings, I ride Buddy across the hills. The wind cools my face, the sun lowers behind the horizon. Everything turns golden and quiet. That's when I feel the world breathing with me. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't need words. Once, a family of raccoons moved into my barn. They stole my apples every night. I tried to chase them, but they were faster. Finally, I left one apple for them on purpose. Sometimes sharing is easier than fighting nature. Sometimes my old friend Ben stops by. We sit on the porch, drink coffee, and talk about the past. We laugh about stupid things we did as young cowboys. Once, his new horse kicked his hat right off. We both laughed until our stomachs hurt. That's the kind of friendship I like, simple and real. When the sun sets, I sometimes light a cigar. I don't smoke much, but one cigar feels right after a long week. The smoke rises slowly in the golden air. It's a small pleasure, but it feels like peace in my hands. Night on the ranch doesn't fall, it grows. First the orange fades, then the purple, then the black. The stars start to shine like diamonds. I stand outside for a while, just watching. You can't see stars like that in any city. Before bed, I always check on Buddy. He moves a little, breathing slow. I pat his neck and say, "Good night, partner." He nudges me back like he understands. That small moment means more than most people know. I've had this ranch for 20 years. I've seen storms, droughts, and long winters. But weekends remind me that life doesn't need to be busy to be full. Sometimes I wish I had someone to share it with, but maybe peace is my kind of love. Last Sunday, I dropped my coffee on my boots. I shouted, "Hot damn!" and started laughing. There's no one to impress here, no one to apologize to. When you live alone long enough, even your mistakes become company. At night, I sit at the table and write a few notes. Plans, reminders, or small thoughts. Sometimes I write about what I felt, not just what I did. The land teaches you to think slower, deeper. That's something the world forgets too easily. Before sleeping, I light a small fire. Its light moves on the walls, soft and golden. I sip tea and listen to the wood crackle. Outside, everything is dark and calm. Inside, it's warm, quiet, and safe. When Monday comes, the work starts again. But for now, I rest. My weekends are not exciting or loud, but they are real. They remind me who I am, a cowboy, a man who lives close to the land and far from noise. And maybe that's the best kind of life there is.